attorneys here to weigh in. John Hancock, former Missouri GOP Executive Director, and Michael Kelly, former Missouri Democratic Party Executive Director, from Missouri, a state that has now become a little bit of a swing state in this election. Gentlemen, nice to see you.
Good to be with you, and a great job getting a Bill de Blasio look-alike to be on the show today.
Hey, Leland.
Well, I'll give it to you then to defend Mr. de Blasio. Is this sort of methodical, almost academic approach to a terror attack like this the right way to deal with this, saying we don't really know what's behind it, on and on and on, we're going to analyze it, we don't know their motives? Or is it the Andrew Cuomo approach of this is terrorism, or the Donald Trump approach of we got to get tough?
Well, it needs to be a presidential approach, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing from Hillary Clinton. Earlier in this hour, you talked about polling that said that people have questions of whether or not Donald Trump can be presidential. You can't have knee-jerk reactions to this type of stuff. This is life and death matters. And this is a perfect example of where Donald Trump is jumping ahead, making ridiculous statements, while Hillary Clinton is showing a much more reserved, pragmatic approach.
Look, I'm pretty sure when you put a bunch of wires and explosive devices inside a pressure cooker that it's accurate to call that a bomb. And that's what Donald Trump did. It was a bomb. And we're pretty sure it wasn't put there by the Vienna Boys Club. This was some terrorist activity event that took place in New York, and I think Donald Trump's reaction was right, and I think Hillary Clinton, I don't know what she was on last night, but she was low energy, I think, to say the least.
It did not exactly seem like a, shall we say, if you want to think about the presidential idea of a comforter-in-chief, sort of talking about how we're going to get through this together and we're going to become stronger together and all these kinds of things, despite that being her campaign slogan. You guys talked about that poll that we discussed earlier in the show. We'll put it back up here on the screen so our viewers can take a look. Has temperament to serve effectively as president? Clinton, 59% yes. Trump, 59% no. And John, this goes to an issue for you there in Missouri, a swing state, a heartland state here. And obviously now that Trump is the Republican nominee, the polls are much tighter in Missouri than anybody ever thought it would be. Is the issue of temperament a problem for some Missouri voters?
Well, it's an issue. It's one of a number of issues in the election. But, you know, the truth is, Leland, Donald Trump's numbers in Missouri are getting stronger all the time. There was a new state poll just released this morning that shows him with an 8-point lead and growing. So a lot of the trends that you've been seeing nationally with the race tightening up has been working in Missouri, where Trump has gained some momentum over the last 3 weeks, and Hillary Clinton really has had a precipitous dive over the last 3 weeks. It's going to be a close race.
Yeah, but the reality is this should be a layup for the Republicans in Missouri. They shouldn't even be having to compete here. And the fact of the matter is Donald Trump's behavior and the way that he has knee-jerk responses to things, just like your polling showing, is making this race much closer than it needs to be for Republicans, and that means resources are coming into Missouri, and Roy Blunt's likely in trouble as a result of it.
Michael, you got the first word. I'm going to give John the last word on that issue, though. You talk about what temperament is needed. This was sort of the same message that Donald Trump gave, the same message we heard from Andrew Cuomo on the streets of New York today, a Democrat getting up there and saying, we're going to be strong, we are not going to let them win. It was a much tougher message from the governor of New York than you got from a presidential candidate. John, you've got to at least see that as a vulnerability.
No, I think Trump's response was good. He said, "Look, we've got to get tough on these people. We've got to get better intelligence. We've got to take the fight to them. We've got to weed these things out before they happen." I think Trump's tone on terrorism throughout this campaign. I mean, really, this guy will call it what it is: radical Islamic terrorism. The White House can't seem to figure that out. I think on terrorism, on national security, I think Donald Trump scores very well with the voters.
Well, and the FBI had a hard time calling it terrorism today in Minnesota, despite the Allah Akbar and asking people if they were Muslim before stabbing them. So we'll see if the FBI changes that as well, and what the President and Hillary Clinton say about it going forward. Gentlemen, always great to have you on the program. Thanks for coming in and staying late.